What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Salt Shack Podcast. My name is Bryce, aka Bruce Jablanca, and I'm here with.
Caleb or War Monkey 75.
And today is our MCU ranking, baby.
Yep.
We're going to be ranking all 33 MCU films in order 33 through 1. This will probably be a part 1, part 2. Um, we might do 33 to 16 today, or this part, and then we'll do 15 to 1 in the next episode. So it's not like a 2.5 hour episode.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. Um, but, as per usual, we spent like a month watching the Marvel movies in order. It would probably be faster if we weren't in school or like Caleb was like in a play and stuff. But like Marvel movies are long too, so it's like took a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah, no rush.
No.
But we did say we were gonna do it in our New Year's episode. So here it is.
Yeah. We've spent most of February, early January watching these. It is like mid March now. We waited to do this because we needed time to rank it and just have a like solid time to just do it in general and like actually have time to think about it before we did it. Um as I was telling Caleb last night, I don't know if I like my list. I don't think if I'll ever like my MC ranking list. It is impossible to rank these movies, in my opinion. I might feel stronger about like some movies like being in a certain position more than others, but I can like throughout my life, I'm sure this will always change, to be honest. So
Yeah, no, we were kind of looking over them and it's like, oh, I could switch these two around. I could do this, do
yeah,
that, but
it was definitely some last second like, oh shit. So without further ado, our top 33 MCU movies ranked. Do you want to go first?
I can go first.
Okay, it's your 33. I'm really curious what your last movie is.
I think, and this is what I was gonna say last night, but I didn't want to.
I had a feeling you were gonna spoil it last night because you just started yapping.
Um,
And I was like, oh god.
I think the bottom couple movies are pretty interchangeable. There's some
Yes.
that are just like these are like clearly just not the best Marvel
Yeah.
movies. Um and at number 3, the ranking of
33.
33 with a ranking of 4 out of 10, I've got Thor 2. This is
Thor the Dark World. For
yes,
those that don't know the name of the
Thor the
movie.
Dark World. The story is very bad. The coolest thing about this movie is the fighting, and that happens in the first like 10 minutes, and then it's like, okay, I could care less about the rest. Um, One of the things I remember writing down is Odin is annoying as hell the entire movie, and he just like pissed me off, and I was like, this guy just keeps bitching and moaning the like the entire time. Um, I did not care about the ether or the dark elves. Um, I mean, we got some cool like Jane character development, but it was just I don't know. I was kind of annoyed the entire movie.
I feel like Thor's notoriously bad for villains.
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, I mean, like I said, the fighting is really cool, but that's just because Thor is awesome, and the twist at the end was cool with Loki.
Mm,
It's like, oh
I already
yeah.
forgot the twist of that.
Yeah, that is like the second best part about the movie
Yeah.
is Loki being like, brother. So, yep.
Nice. I'm also keeping track of your list on my paper so I can remember partially. My 33. I'm going to say this a lot during this episode. It pains me to put it this low. I just I hate this movie. I like I'll get into it. With a 3.4 out of 10, I have The Incredible Hulk.
Okay.
I hate this movie. Um it just feels so out of the MCU with Edward Norton being Hulk. It just like it genuinely feels like when you're watching like Fantastic Four movies, it's just so out of the MCU that it,
Yeah.
like takes me out of the movie completely. And I don't care about Edward Norton's Hulk either. Like I don't have any sympathy for him
Mm-hmm.
because we've been growing with like our Hulk right now. So it's like I don't care about this one when we go
Yeah.
back on rewatch. And it's like and I like literally like I'd probably say like at least 2.5 points goes to the Hulk Abomination fight just because that's
Yeah.
badass.
Yeah.
And the CGI for like 2008 or 2009 was really good for that fight, honestly. And it was probably our best looking Hulk we've ever gotten, to be honest, on screen. Just
Mm-hmm.
because now it's like, just looks like Mark Ruffalo's face. But like, besides that, I like really don't care about this movie. And it's like, yeah, it's just tough. Because it's like, I want to like the movie. In fact, I was defending it somewhat in our last ranking because I was like, well, it's like it's a different actor, but like it's still like a pretty solid movie. Like it's not awful,
Yeah.
but like on rewatch, it was just like I just want to be done watching this movie. Like I don't care. And like Thunderbolt Ross is just miserable the entire movie. He's just such
Yeah.
a prick. And I get that's his character, but it's just like Jesus Christ, dude. And it didn't help him. His arc didn't change. He was still a dickhead the
Yeah.
entire time he was in the MCU, and he's still a dickhead. Obviously, the actor R.I.P. is like not with us anymore. It's gonna be um, Harrison Ford or whatever in the next movie.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that sucks. Obviously that he passed away, but it's like he had no arc this movie. Like he was like
Yeah.
anti Hulk, made Abomination, which just way worse than Hulk. And then when Hulk saved his life, he goes, "Don't go around my daughter," and then was still a prick the
Yeah.
entire
And it's like,
MCU. It's like whatever. I don't know. I wish this movie wasn't in the MCU. It just doesn't feel MCU to me. And I get Iron Man comes in at the end, like that's sick, but it's like a post credit scene. Like
yeah.
it's not like in the middle of the movie. Iron Man like struts in and it's like, "Hey, Thunderbolt Ross, like we're gonna make Avengers." Like no, that was the end of the movie. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
So that's why I have Hulk at the end. I know everyone sleeps on it now. I'm still sleeping on that movie. So
At number 32, with a 5 out of 10, I've got Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man? Ant-Man and Wasp. Um,
did I go up a whole point from the last one?
yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, I don't know. Ghost, I think, is a terrible villain, and it was just annoying the whole time. What I wrote about this one after watching it was Ghost was an annoying villain. It just felt like cat and mouse for 2 hours. And there's the part where it's like, oh, Hank meets up with his old shield buddy. Oh, but he's evil now. We all hate each other. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't really enjoy it. It's hard to align with Ghost when she's just kind of annoying the entire time. It's like, it's definitely other ways you could have gone about this. You could just ask.
Yeah, it's almost like they're good guys. They'd probably help you.
Yeah, because they can clearly recognize you're like phasing through the world. It doesn't take a genius to see you disappear every
No.
2 seconds. Um, but I mean, we get like introduction to Wasp, which is like the main takeaway from this movie. You get the Wasp suit. That's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Better
yeah,
haircut in this movie though.
that's true. Way better haircut.
Her bowl cut was god awful in the first one,
Yeah.
but
So Ant-Man 2.
my next movie, Ant Man. I hate Wasp's haircut. No, fair enough. I'll get to Ant Man and Wasp soon enough. Another movie I just wish I would like more. I tried to. I gave it multiple chances to feel okay with it, and I just like can't get over this barrier of just not liking this movie. With a 3.9 out of 10, I have Captain Marvel. It's just like I don't want to be that guy that hates this movie or like dislikes it. I don't think I hate it, but I don't like it.
Sure.
Um, I just don't care. Like I like appreciate the story. Like she forgot everything,
Yeah.
and then it like came back to her. I feel like it came back to her in like a really short time span, which makes sense for a movie. You can't really like unless it's a show, you can't really like
Mhm.
do it over time. But it was like a pretty quick like 180 like, oh, I'm not a part of them. I am human and I got blasted by this thing that made me
Yeah.
superhuman. Um Pros of this movie, Nick Fury, super cool. Seeing young Nick Fury, honestly. I wish we could get more. And that's why I was so excited for Secret Invasion. And then Secret Invasion was whatever. Maybe we'll rank MCU shows eventually. But like and then my biggest grieve was like this is like the ending fight was so bad.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
Yes.
Like I'm forgetting his name of like the main villain from this movie. The mentor guy.
Yeah.
Let me look it up real quick. But it's like he was kind of kicking the shit out of her at the beginning of the movie, and then Jan Rog, and then he was like, all right, let's fight with fists, and then she just slammed him
Boom.
with like her laser or whatever,
Yeah.
and then that was it. Like that was the entire thing. I was like, warn your army, like I'm coming. It was like, okay. And then she like went through Ronan's ship.
Yeah, with no problem.
Yeah.
Just, and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah, like
Yeah, like,
god damn.
yeah. Looks like we found the new, like, most powerful character.
Yeah. And it's like there's parts where I definitely enjoyed it. I think Brie Larson gets like a little bit more slack than she should in this
Yeah.
movie. She like comes off as a prick most of the time, which is like whatever. It's a lot better in the Marvels,
Yeah.
which obviously we'll talk about eventually. But yeah, I don't know. It's like fine. I just like after we do this MCU ranking, I don't think I'll ever go back and watch this movie unless we're doing another ranking in like two
Yeah.
or 3 years or something like that. Like I don't find myself ever just putting this movie on and like just watching it for fun.
No,
Like
there's
I've seen it enough now and I still don't really care for it. So
31 other movies you'd rather watch.
yeah, I'd watch this over Hulk though, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's enough rambling about Captain Marvel.
All right. It's 31 with a 5.2 out of 10. I've got Hulk. Whoop-de-doo. Also basically at the bottom of my list. The only redeeming qualities I have was the fight scenes when he's actually Hulk. Like those are so sick.
It's cool.
Um, let's see. What did I write when I like the leader assumption for Mr. Blue? Too bad he's not in the MCU. Movie was not that bad. The best parts were the fight scenes. Everything felt very dry storyline wise.
I will
So,
say he was spotted on set of the new Captain America movie,
ooh,
so
okay.
there might be a leader in
Cool. Cool.
that.
Finally.
Anyways, continue.
Yeah, the most mysterious thing about this movie was the Mr. Green and Mr. Blue bit. and then they met, and it was like, oh, you're both nerds. Yahoo!
Yippee.
Uh, yeah, it's like I did not really care about Edward Norton's
Edward Norton.
Edward Norton's personal life. When I watch the Hulk, I just want to see the Hulk do Hulk stuff. Um, and then yeah, then we got the Hulk versus Abomination, which that was the peak of the movie.
You remember Abomination's name?
It's Emil
Good
Blonsky.
job.
I was trying to think of it like yesterday, and I could not remember it.
Jesus Christ.
Um, but I finally like merged the thoughts in my head, so yeah, I can finally remember his name for
Good
once.
job.
Um, I'm glad he became Abomination, just because he was the only one that could actually like kind of fight the Hulk. But when he was human and fighting the Hulk, it was kind of dumb.
I will say two positives real quick. Stan Lee Hulk, funny.
Yes, yeah,
And then like you said, him fighting Hulk human, and then him getting just shit whipped into a tree was
yes,
hilarious.
yeah.
Anyways,
So yeah, and I did like the kind of horror-esque scene where he becomes Hulk for the first time, and where it's like, "Rah!" and they're like, what was that? So
they definitely played off of that a little bit in the Avengers, the first one,
yeah, yeah.
which we'll get to eventually.
And my next one, no.
Yeah, number 31, the Avengers. No. Um, Shocker. With a 4.3 out of 10. At 31, I have Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah,
Um, it was my former 32nd, because at the time the Marvels wasn't out. So last. I just I enjoy this Thor. I think we take granted of this, like, I get we don't like super serious Thor, but this is like really the last time we got a slightly serious
yeah,
Thor. And I think like a pretty big part of why I don't like this movie is Malekith. I don't care about him at
yeah,
all.
yeah,
Like, he kind of just became like a side plot for most of it until the ending. Um the like the doctor running around naked was just kind of weird, but like I get that's like showing the effects of Loki's scepter to like a normal person, because Hawkeye didn't nearly have that big of like a
no, he didn't run
he
around
just kind of
naked.
had like PTSD for like a little bit and then kind
Mm-hmm.
of got over it, but and then Selvig was like woo, running around naked and shit.
Humping
um
stones.
yeah, and then he became a big fat guy in Dune.
Yeah, yeah.
um Anyways, side tangent. I like Jane Foster. Padme's cool. I just like, and I get it, and ultimately like led to Thor 4. Not seeing her in Thor 3 was kind of weird,
Yeah.
but like whatever. It's playing on their like this relationship's not working. Thor disappears. She gets mad. Thor big depressed about it, and then it just happens again and again pretty
Yep.
much. Um but yeah, like you said, like it's cool like that we got Stone out of it, but it's also like I don't care. Like I
Yeah.
don't care that this like red entity is like destroying Padme from the inside, and the only way to get it out is like exerting it on Malekith's ship or whatever it was in the dark dimension or whatever. Um and another thing is I still feel like of all movies, I'll still be bad at trivia at this movie just because I don't care that much, which is another thing that kind of puts it down for me
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we bought MCU like Trivia Pursuit for the Infinity Saga, and I was like, oh, we're gonna like be pretty good at this game. I feel like in like a month I'll like forget everything about Dark World
Oh,
again because
yeah.
I don't care. So, anyways, Dark World 31.
Yeah, that adds up.
I'm curious what your next movie is gonna be. 'Cause this could be funny.
Nah. Uh, at number 30, with a 5.6 out of 10, I've got Captain Marvel.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, whoa. Who could have seen that coming? The only reason it's higher than the other. Oh my lord.
Caleb's gotten really bad speaking as of late.
It's higher than the others is the amount of lore. It is jam packed with lore, especially with Coulson and Fury and just like Skrulls in general. That's pretty huge. Um,
Yeah, I mean, especially for Secret Invasion,
yeah.
finding out that they've been there for like 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Um, and Goose is pretty cool.
I had mentioned Goose, but Goose is cool.
Um, Excuse me. Yeah, I wrote bad villain, classic origin story, packed with a lot of lore. Um, yeah, it's really just classic. Like, I don't remember who I am. Yep.
She's so petty about it too.
Yeah. Got my memory stolen
Literally
from the scrub.
showed her in a picture, and she was like, "Nah,
Yeah.
that's not me, dude."
Um, I also kind of hated every single time they entered like the conscience state where they talk to the higher
Yeah,
power
Marvel.
Marvel. Yeah,
Yeah, she was kind of miserable to hear
I was
too.
like, like come on. Um,
I guess it's different for everyone, but it was like
yes, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Um, but the pop off goes huge in this movie. Captain Marvel absolutely destroying everything was pretty fun.
Yeah, the Rambo backstory's cool too.
Yes,
Monica
yeah.
and Maria. So they've had that like tight knit like Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, the Marvels, Secret Invasion, kind of all just like tying together. It's
Mm-hmm.
which is cool. I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah. That's that's really all I have to say about this movie.
You ready for something kind of funny?
Sure.
With a 4.5 out of 10, my 30, Ant-Man and Wasp. We have the same four bottom, but just swapped a little bit.
Nice.
I just don't care about this movie either. Ghost is so bad. I hate Ghost so much.
Yeah.
Like, just. And, like, the former friend was also just, like, a douchebag for most of it, but then when he was finally like, oh, they'll help you, she's like, no, I
Yeah.
don't want to be helped.
It's
Like,
like
fuck off. Like, just wait.
Aw.
Wait 10 minutes and you'll get helped.
Yeah.
And then, shocker, when it was over, she got helped. Like, oh.
Oh.
And it's like, sucks because Ant-Man movies are always so much fun because they're just
Yeah.
like, they're like street level villains every time. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, just a fun story for most of the time. And it's like, they're having a whole chase over this building that's a suitcase, which is just kind of funny in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I don't know, it's tough. The Wasp reveal, cool. Kind of obviously we saw it coming. It is literally called Ant Man and the
Yeah.
Wasp, but and we kind of figured obviously after Ant Man that she'd get involved eventually. Um, I just don't really care about the sequel, and it's like kind of sucks. I want to care, I just don't.
Yeah.
So,
Just, eh.
and the villain sucks. So, yeah, that's really all I got about that.
At number 29, it pains me to put it here, but I have to. I've got Black Widow, the 5.7 out of 10. Um, I really like Black Widow as a character. The lore was like, wow. Like this is just awful. Um, no, like Black Widow's character is great. Um, but I really just despise the villain in the pheromone bit. You can't attack me because I have moth pheromones. Meh. Like that pissed me off so much. Like Jesus Christ.
He's a pretty unlikable guy, which
Yeah,
yeah,
like great acting from him because it really made me hate him. But what if like you stood far away and shot him?
Yeah.
Like
He's a pretty mysterious guy.
like
Uh,
what if you just like I mean, clearly she broke her nose and couldn't smell him anymore, but that 20 feet away with a gun would do the same thing.
yeah.
Like she could have stood at the other side of his office and just shot him with something. Um but a huge plus to this movie is the Black Widow family. It's like, oh, uh,
Ah.
Red Guardian's big funny. Yelena's big funny, and I'm forgetting the mom's name because
Oh boy. Yeah, I don't
yeah.
remember her name either.
Um, but it I was really into the whole like first Russian super soldier bit, and he was like, oh yeah, blah 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 blah, making up all these stories about him and Captain America going at it. Like,
Melina.
oh yeah, yeah, that makes sense now because it's so close to Yelena. Um, yeah, they went through a lot of hardships and stuff, but yeah, I just kind of despise the whole Red Room and just kind of that whole bit. I mean, and then we realized that Natasha, there were just basically a ton of Natasha clones because she is like the best Black Widow. Arguably, I mean, all these other ones can do the same things as her, but she's an Avenger, so she's cooler. Um, but yeah, and then there's the whole Taskmaster thing, which like I don't hate too much. Um,
I have a take on that, but I'll talk about it once I get to the movie. So,
I think if Taskmaster comes back, uh, she could be redeemed if she gets the sword and shield like the comics.
if they ever make the Thunderbolts movie, they're supposed to be making she's supposed to come back.
So it's like,
Taskmaster is in the Thunderbolts, so it's like, or her version of it at least
yeah,
is in our Thunderbolts. So,
yeah.
and I heard the movie's in progress because Sebastian Stan was talking about it. So,
Thank you. Yeah.
yeah,
Um. So hopefully Taskmaster gets redeemed in that because I really like Taskmaster as a character.
yeah.
Um. But yeah, no, it was really just the whole finding the red room bit that kind of dragged on. I mean, I totally get it though. It's super hard to find, but it was like, all right, let's find it and get up there. But yeah,
Fair enough. This one sucks. I'd hate putting it this low. With a 5 out of 10, my 29th pick is Iron Man 2. Uh, I told myself when we were doing this list, I would take my nostalgia glasses off
yeah.
and rank them fairly. Oh man, Iron Man 2 is just, it's kind of a slow one. It's definitely, in my opinion, it's the worst Iron Man movie of the three. Um, I think it kind of like starts really hot and then goes down because I really like Whiplash,
I know
and
you do.
like he's just so badass, and his backstory is really goddamn cool. Like
Yeah,
Howard Stark fucks over his dad, and like that's his whole thing, and like
yeah.
then he pretty much is a super genius, so he learns how to do these like electric whips,
Mm-hmm.
and Iron Man's dying, so he's like, oh, like I'm gonna race in this race because I'm gonna die soon anyways.
Yeah.
And then Whiplash just walks out of the corner and starts whipping the goddamn cars.
Yeah.
Like that's badass. And then like we get introduced to Black Widow in this movie, like,
Mm-hmm.
and Nick Fury and Black Widow like pretty much save his life for a little bit by giving him that medicine and whatnot.
Yep.
And he was pretty much having this whole like crash out moment because he was just being a dick to everyone because he was dying and like ruined his own party. Rhodey was like,
Yeah.
"You're a moron. Like I'm taking this suit now and giving it to the government." Pretty much.
Yeah.
Um, Justin Hammer is fine. He's funny. I enjoyed him. He's not like
Yeah.
a. We'll do an MCU ranking or like villain ranking in the future. I don't think he's super high on my list, but he's definitely like a funnier like. Oh, I hate Tony Stark.
Yeah, it's funny because he was like really bad at what he does, but like good enough for the government.
Yeah,
But he's like still bad.
he's
And
still
it's just,
awful. Yeah,
yeah.
him like getting owned in like the court was funny.
Yes,
Like that was
yeah.
really funny, honestly. And like I love Iron Man. I love Tony Stark. I love Robert Downey Jr. So it just sucks putting it this low. I just don't really see myself rewatching this movie in the future, to be honest. After
Yeah.
this, and like I want Whiplash to be better. His Iron Whiplash suit at the end just sucked ass in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And like I like the final act. It's fine. Like the whole like all the robots just start like going haywire and shit because whatever. But I just don't think I can rank it higher than this. So yeah.
Um, at number 28, I've got Thor Love and Thunder with a 5.8 out of 10. After Ragnarok, we all had super high expectations, and this just didn't really meet them.
Mm-mm.
Um, yeah, I mean, we got the mighty Thor, which was cool, but then that ended it's quickly. It's
Pretty
like,
quickly,
oh,
yeah.
great.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
But
Oh, you should
yeah, you should watch the movies before you watch this.
expect a
So
spoiler alert. Yeah, I mean, gore was neat. I just kind of felt like it was a little boring at points where they're like walking around the gore planet, the dark, the void, whatever it was called, and he's just like coming out of the wall, and he's like, ah, it's like, okay, all
yeah, all right, dude.
right. Like I think Christian Bale did a great job as Gore, like he always does, but there were just points where I was like, come on,
Yeah,
um, but the whole like new Asgard thing and seeing how that was going was really cool. Like they're finally making Asgard a better and cooler place on Earth. Finally seeing Heimdall's kid is like, yes, just cause I don't know, I liked Heimdall a lot, so I was like, yeah. So to have like a basically a new Heimdall come in and be just as cool, and I think his name's Lucas. I think.
maybe. Yeah, I'll look it up while
Um,
you're talking.
yeah, it was it was cool. I'm gonna find what I wrote down. Um, um, I liked Zeus. Zeus was cool, but I think after they like killed him with his own lightning bolt and no other gods came after him was like no way he just like got away with that.
It was pretty telling. I feel like no one really liked Zeus, to be
Yeah,
honest.
yeah. But
Who the fuck is the kid? I'm trying to like find him. I'm like on Letterbox, like actively looking for this kid, and I cannot. Axel,
Axel.
because he likes Axl Rose from Guns N'
Oh yeah, that's
Roses.
right. Yeah. No, seeing all the other gods was definitely another plus about this movie cuz well, we got introduced to like the Greek god Zeus, so it's like opens up all these other possibilities they can do with whatever else they want.
It's pretty like crazy to think like Thor's already on his fourth movie. I don't know when they'll do a fifth or if they will do a fifth. You
Yeah.
know, he could like die in the Avengers movie. Like he is one of
Yeah.
the longest reigning like guys now, like from
Y-
the OG Avengers.
Yeah.
So
I have a feeling that the little girl he's training will probably just take his place in the Avengers,
eventually,
and
yeah.
whenever I feel like Thor's gonna get written off and do something in Asgard or he'll die. Um
Not everyone has to die.
yeah.
It like Guardians 3 proved that like
Oh
not
yeah.
everyone has to die.
Yeah.
We'll get to that eventually, but
Um so yeah, I mean It's a solid movie, but I probably wouldn't revisit it if I didn't have to.
All right. Um, at number 28 with a 5.1 out of 10, I have Ant-Man Quantumania. Man, Jonathan Majors, why? Why do
Yeah,
you have to do that?
you know.
Like, after finding out he got fired from Marvel Studios, coming back to this movie is just like,
Yeah,
like, God damn it.
yeah.
He's like the best part about this movie, and he's now not gonna be there anymore. And like him doing some dumb shit might have just like they might not even do the like Avengers like Kang Dynasty movie anymore. They might not even revisit Kang anymore. It's like, oh
Uh,
my god. Like, god damn it, Jonathan
yeah,
Majors. It's like so frustrating. And I was a defender of this movie when it came out
you
cuz
were.
like Jonathan Majors was still like there was nothing like there with him really. This movie was fine. People were just shitting on it for no reason. And it's like now it's like I don't care about this movie because there's nothing good out of it anymore. Like
Yep.
there's no guarantee Kang will ever come back in the MCU, which was like kind of like the whole ending of Ant-Man Quantumania because now Scott's like, "Oh, yippee, we won." But what if he comes back? And then like you see like everyone on the street start looking at him and like wearing purple and green. It's like, "Oh my
Mm-hmm.
god, this is so sick." And then the end credit scenes like Loki season 2 with like the Council of Kangs and like it's like, "Oh my god, this is so sick."
I
But
know.
what are we even getting out of this anymore? Like there could be nothing. Like the only thing that we got out of this was Ant-Man's daughter like becoming
Yeah.
one of them
I
pretty
guess like
much.
Janet came back.
I guess, but she was a bitch the entire movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to tell you guys about this. And then, like, finally drops him, name drops Kang, and, like, how she was, like, working with Kang and then found out he was an awful person, da da da. Cool backstory. And it's, like, a cool way to introduce Kang. It's just like, why not just tell people sooner? Like, because now I'm like, Cassie's like literally making a thing to go to the quantum realm, and then
Mm-hmm.
suddenly she's like, "Turn it off!" And then
Yeah.
obviously they get sucked in, and it's like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, you could have avoided this by just being like, "There's an awful person down there. We do not want to go to the quantum realm."
Yeah.
And it's yeah, Modoc's funny. Everyone has a huge issue about Modoc. I don't really care. I think it's funny. Like everyone on TikTok that I've seen is like, Modoc's is stupid. He's like a like I don't want to be a dick joke, which is like okay, but like it's still cool seeing like Yellow Jacket return as
Yeah.
Modoc,
Yeah.
and I still want a Bath figure for him in Legend for him because that's funny. But like I thought he was fine, and like yeah, I don't know. I could ramble about this a while. I just like pretty much Jonathan Majors firing kind of just ruined this entire movie pretty much because that was the redeeming factor was like Kang's this badass villain that they don't even want to like mention because he's
Yeah.
like so high powered,
Yeah.
and everyone had such a huge problem about the ants killing him at the end and like beating him up and like them winning. Ant-Man didn't have to die. Like Kang
Mm-hmm.
has variants for
There's
a
so many
reason.
gangs.
He can die and come back 1,000 more times.
Mm-hmm.
This is our Ant-Man in our MCU. Why get rid of our Ant-Man or our Wasp? Like, if anything, one of the older, like, Hank or, like, Janet should have died, if anything. But, like, nobody has to die. I just don't get people's issues with this movie. But now I'm saying I have an issue with it because Jonathan Majors was the redeeming factor about this movie, and he is no longer. So
Yeah.
that is my take on Quantumania.
Um, my number 27 is Ant-Man Quantumania with a 6.5 out of 10. Yeah, no. I like just read what I wrote and I was like, Kang is great. Like Kang is such a good villain. I don't want to compliment Jonathan Majors
He's so good at acting though.
but he was so good.
He's such a good actor. It's just like,
Um,
why would you throw that away? He was
yeah,
on the peak
yeah.
of his career. Like, Jesus Christ, dude.
So
Whatever.
I don't want to support him, but
It's like NFL players like drug dealing. Like, you're a moron. You're making
yeah,
millions of dollars and you just threw it away.
yeah,
You know how many people would want to be in your position and you're just being a douchebag and throwing it away like that?
yeah.
Whatever. Anyways.
Um, and I said Janet's very annoying the like entire movie. Cassie, kind of really rude sometimes. It's like, oh, that's
Yeah, it's kind of like unsuspecting. I get like Scott went to jail, so she thinks it's okay to go to jail and whatnot, but like
yeah,
she's like 17 or whatever. She doesn't have
yeah.
to be a douchebag.
Um, and I wrote they killed off like two of my favorite characters, which was Modoc. I really like Modoc. Um,
I think him dying was okay because I don't really see how he could have like
yeah,
left the quantum realm
yeah,
like
that's true.
that.
It's like, ooh.
But
Um, I don't know. I really liked him. He was super like emotional, and he is just this like killing machine that he was like, "Ah, I'm really good at this, but I don't know if I want to do it anymore."
even since the first movie, you can tell this guy's like he's good on the inside. He
Yeah,
just like wants to
Darren.
be wants to be like powerful, and it's like damn,
Yeah,
poor Darren, man.
and then I really like the glass head guy that when he screamed, the laser came
Oh
out of
yeah,
his
he was
head.
cool.
He died too, and I was like, that would have been like another really cool bath.
Oh yeah,
Like
for
he would
sure.
have been a really cool figure. But now he's dead, so that's sad. Um, I kind of wrote that this movie is like a little Star Wars esque, a little
Oh
Guardians
yeah,
esque,
definitely.
because like you're going to another universe, you're getting all these like crazy cool new things introduced. So I really like that
World
part about
building.
it. Yeah, and like the whole like drink the juice, and then they can understand each other was like, thank God.
Yeah,
um, but yeah, besides that, you really covered a lot of it. Like, oh man, just
it's just really frustrating,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
Like I just, it makes me very upset. But because I was, like I said, I was a defender of Quantum Mania.
Yes, you were.
Uh, 27 with a 5.2 out of 10. I have Thor: Love and Thunder. Seeing a common theme here.
Yeah,
I think this movie's pretty overhated, to be honest. Like everyone's like, "This is the worst MCU movie," and it's like, it's not that bad.
it's
Like,
not the
it's
worst
really not
MCU
that
movie.
bad. Everyone's like, "There's no character build." Like, Jane literally has cancer. Like, she literally is dying the entire movie, and the only way she feels better is when she is Mighty Thor, but is also killing her.
Yeah,
So, and Mjolnir just breaking apart and coming back together. So badass. Like
yeah, so cool.
the whole like uh Stormbreaker Mjolnir like relationship between Thor was kind of goofy.
Yeah,
Stormbreaker would just like float away and he was like, "No, I promise I love you." It's like, oh god.
yeah.
Um what's the villain's name again? I forgot his name.
Gore.
Gore, yeah. I don't know why I was blanking on that. Gore, pretty fucking cool, honestly. I like the scene where it's like the city battle and they kind of just
Yeah,
walk by each other and it's like,
yeah.
oh, that's kind of badass.
Mm-hmm.
Like they kind of fight each other but not really. Um Gore's arc was fine. Wish there was more Gore. Wish there was, I don't know. It's just like I don't really know how to explain it. I just like needed more of something there. I just like you said, I don't really see myself coming back to this movie. It was my first time watching it though. I did not see it in theaters. Um, but I also like the soundtrack.
Oh yeah,
Guns N' Roses,
yeah.
pretty badass.
We got goats.
That was annoying as fuck. I did not
Yeah,
care about that. I think that was supposed to be like the core comic relief of this movie, and it just didn't hit for me. It was just annoying.
yeah. Korg almost died.
True.
Became a
Got blown to
face.
pieces, and he was like, "Hey, buddy, I'm down here." He picked up his face and like, uh. I don't really have much else to say about this movie. It's just like
Yeah.
it's fine. I think it's definitely overhated. It's not a great movie, but I don't think people are like giving it a fair chance just
Yeah.
because Ragnarok is like it's that it's that guy. Like Ragnarok is
Yeah.
that guy,
Yeah.
but Love and Thunder isn't. So it's tough.
Um, and here, it's this one kind of sucked to put this low, but here's my, I guess my hot take.
Oh
At
boy.
26, well, I think people will agree, but when I explain it, at 26, I've got Eternals with a 6.6 out of 10. I actually really liked Eternals the second time around. Um, and I say that because I know it's your first time watching it. Um,
Yeah, I'll tell you when it's my first time watching it. There's a couple movies I haven't watched when we were like watching it, so
um, yeah, no, I actually like Eternals a lot. Um, the first time I kind of hated it because they introduced like 9 new characters and you're supposed to remember all their names, but they're all like crazy, like Druid, Icarus, Sprite, Gilgamesh, and it's like,
yeah.
ah. um, and like you get introduced to this whole like crazy concept about them just going on worlds, making sure they're inhabitable, and then for the Celestials to just kind of like get birthed. And now that I like know the characters' names and their powers and I could remember it while like watching it the second time or third time, um I was like, "Oh, like I'm starting to like their powers and like actually like their character arcs and stuff. Like this is good except for Sprite. Um Sprite was kind of just
I will get the Sprite when I talk about Eternals.
kind of
I could waste about 5 minutes right now talking about Sprite, but I'm not going to. I'll wait when I
Sprite
talk.
was so annoying the entire time, and then you get the Icarus 180. Oh my god, I love her so much, but I'm stuck like a 12-year-old. And then it's like, oh god. And then it's like, now I'm gonna fight with him. It's like, ah. I think definitely the worst part about this movie is them killing off Gilgamesh because I think he was easily the most lovable character. Because he's like, I cook and I'm strong, and it's like, yay!
Yippee!
And then he dies, and it's like, are you
So
kidding me?
mad.
Are you kidding me? Um, yeah. So it's cool to be like, oh, they were here for like centuries, and here they are birthing this celestial, which hopefully leads to like Galactus or something.
Oh, definitely.
Um,
I think it will. And obviously, we're gonna get Eternals too eventually because they set up
yes,
that like obviously they're gonna go fight the guy, which is
yeah,
gonna be like
yeah,
I don't know how that's gonna happen, but
yeah,
like Harry Styles came out
yeah.
and
Harry
I
Styles.
don't remember his character's name, but I
It's
was
like
like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Starstruck or something. I don't
I
remember.
don't know. I'll pull it up when I do my take on Eternals because I'm probably gonna need to look up their names again.
Um, but no, there was Angelina Jolie's character who can like forge the weapons, but she's got PTSD, so she attacks them sometimes. Cause
Well,
like,
she knew the truth from like the beginning, pretty
yeah,
much. Like
yeah,
that was the whole thing. It was like she was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I know it's gonna happen, but
mm-hmm,
like she didn't tell anyone, pretty much. At least that's what I think. I don't know. I think I want to rewatch this movie eventually, just because it was my first time. But yeah,
um, but no, I thoroughly enjoy watching Eternals, and I think it will go higher the more I watch it, just cause I really like the technology in it, especially that one guy that builds all
yeah,
the
Lemon or whatever his
yeah
name is from Bullet Train. I
from
forgot his
Bullet Train.
actual name in the
Um,
movie, but yeah, that was badass.
No, like he just makes all this cool, like crazy future tech stuff, and it's like, oh my god, like,
Yeah, well, his job is like giving out tech to like the people, pretty much.
mm-hmm.
So yeah.
He just invented a bunch of new things, and we have a speedster, uh, which we don't have in the MCU.
Not really, no. And I
So
mean, Icarus is pretty much Superman too. So
yeah,
it's like, yeah.
mm-hmm. So I'm really curious to see Eternals 2 and what they're gonna do with him. So
Number 26 with a 5.3 out of 10. I have Thor 1. Um, it's fine. It's like a pretty solid origin story for Thor.
mm-hmm.
Like getting to know Asgard, um, him getting like relinquished to Earth, and like
Yeah,
fish out of water, classic. Like he doesn't know social standards, so he like
yeah.
slams coffee mugs and like gets hit by cars by Jane Foster twice in a row, which was really funny, honestly. But um, it's just fine. Like I literally don't even remember the villain from this movie, to be honest.
um. Well,
Oh yeah, Destroyer,
Destroyer.
technically. Yeah, because I was like, Loki's pretty much the villain of this movie, but yeah, it's Destroyer. And then wasn't there a side villain too?
It was the king of the ice place
Oh
because
yeah.
they go there and they beat up all their
Yeah, I didn't give
people.
a fuck about that. Like I literally did not give a single fuck about that.
It's like Yormir or something.
Well, they're in the Jotunheim.
Jotunheim.
Lofi, King Lofi.
Loaf.
Yeah, I just don't care about that. Lay it down. Sif, the Warriors 3, pretty cool. Wish they'd make legends of those three.
Yeah.
I've talked about that before, but unfortunately one of them is dead. Rest in peace. I mean, it won't stop them from making it probably eventually, but I just like kind of dragged in the middle. Like Thor getting his hammer and not being able to pick it up was pretty badass. Because
Yeah.
Hawkeye was just watching from the top, like
Yeah.
Nick Fury's like, "Pull the trigger, Barton." He's like, "Nah, I'm rooting for this guy
Hold
now.
on.
Like, let him cook for a second. I want to see this." Um, was this the one where Loki was like, "Father has died," or whatever, and you can't come back still? I'm pretty sure that was it. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
it was like, oh, that's interesting. I guess Loki lied a lot in the first two
Yeah.
Thor movies.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's a mischievous little guy, but the story is cool. We got a comic Destroyer Legend, which is pretty similar to the one that is in the
It.
MCU,
Yeah.
but so that's cool. Um, yeah, it's fine. It's like you can tell it's really early MCU, like, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's just super like medieval type, like cat or not cast, but script. Like the way they talk is just like
Yeah.
super like,
Yeah. The dialect.
and it's like super dark, and it's like, yeah, it's fine though. That yeah, I don't really have much else to say about Thor one.
All right. At number 25, I have Iron Man 3 with a 6.8 out of 10. I wrote really good character development. Um, took forever. A lot of exposure to the new suits because of House Party. That
Mm.
was sick. Um, not a lot of happy moments. And I my biggest gripe about this movie is the Aldrich Killian powers. It's like he gets hot and he's strong. It's like
Then he regenerates or whatever, and it's
yeah,
like I feel like if it was just him, it'd be better. But like his like mutant
yeah,
people were
and
just
then he
like
just
kind of annoying,
made
honestly.
more. That was my biggest gripe about this movie and the part that I couldn't get over. That's why that's why I have it where it is at 25. Um but yeah, I mean Iron Man totally like going out and his suit automatically going to like wherever he ended up in like Canada or whatever. He like just kept flying
Yeah,
and then he went um this was our introduction to like the Mandarin, which is a huge Iron Man villain. Well, is it? I huge in Iron Man. Uh
a very like controversial thing at the time too.
mhm.
The whole like oh, I'm Trevor Slattery. I'm just an actor. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh God.
Yeah. Yeah, so that whole bit was kind of brain dead, but it was like
It's
um
funny now to look back at, but at the time it was like, oh God, like
yeah.
that's pretty bad. But
Yeah. Um
Shang-Chi redeemed Trevor Slattery.
so much. I'm glad he came back in that. But yeah, Iron Man 3 brought some problems between Pepper and Tony. He was like, "Oh yeah, here's my house, here's my home address. Come at me." And
It
then they
was
get
pretty badass,
bombed.
but
It
then
was like,
yeah, it
"Oh."
did not work.
It's like, "Okay, buddy."
I want to fight you, Mandarin. Fucking house gets blown up 20 minutes later,
Yeah.
and he gets
I
sucked into it.
yeah, and the Killian backstory makes sense. I just feel like it's kind of a copy and paste from Iron Man 2 where they were just like, "Oh, uh
He's just a more in-depth Justin Hammer with more powers, pretty
yeah."
much.
It was like, "Oh, I screwed him over in the past. All right, he's back to get you." Like, okay. Um and yeah, it just I didn't like Killian's powers. That's just my biggest gripe. It's like, it's kind of annoying and not very creative.
That's fair.
So, yep.
All right. Okay. Number 25 with a 5.4 out of 10. I have The Marvels. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I
Yeah.
like didn't mind it. Like I really didn't. Like people were like, "This movie sucks," and it's like I didn't think it sucked. I
Yeah.
thought it was fine. Like the power switch at the beginning was pretty funny. Like
Mm-hmm.
every time you did a power, like they switched places. That was an interesting thing. Um, this movie, if anything, of all the things it did, it made me want to watch the Marvel show really badly,
No.
honestly,
Yeah.
because their family's really funny, honestly. Kamala Khan's great, and she was easily probably my favorite part about this entire movie, to be honest.
Yeah.
Darben, Caleb doesn't remember her name, but she looks like Chili from Super Mario Logan. Fine. People had a pretty large gripe about it being a bad villain, but it's like
Eh.
we've had like pretty bad villains in the past, so it's
Yeah.
like not that big of a surprise. And it's like I feel like after Endgame, this could be a whole like discussion point in one episode. Just people just like have no patience for Marvel anymore. It's like after Endgame, it was like everything needs to be goated every time, and it's like it's not gonna be goated every time.
Yeah.
Like this villain was fine. I thought she had a pretty solid backstory. Like Captain Marvel fucked her planet pretty much, and
Yeah.
and she was trying to just help her planet, and like she was a douchebag about it, but like
Yeah.
that's what happens. Like Aldrich Killian got left on top of a roof and then became a fire breathing fucking man. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what's so like I don't know. Um the Photon Captain Marvel like chemistry was like, oh, that's awkward.
Yeah.
Like,
Was very
oh,
awkward.
I'm gonna come back and see you, and then never came back. The mom died,
Yep.
and I like really enjoyed her character during WandaVision too. So I was like
Mm-hmm.
curious about how this would go. Obviously, she got ported into a different dimension
Yeah.
or universe, and
Sacrificed herself pretty
now
much.
she's in a X-Men universe, which is just like
Yeah.
it's like okay, like I don't know how you can't be excited about that. Like
Yeah.
it's literally Beast helping her in a hospital. Like we're literally getting Fantastic Four next year and X-Men. Like the MCU's not cooked, guys. Like
Yeah.
we're gonna be eating good pretty soon. Like just give it
Yeah.
time. Um yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much else to say. The singing planet was like really interesting. I don't
Yeah.
know. I think this is easily the best Captain Marvel we've gotten too. She's like not that hateable in this
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Like she's actually like pretty interesting. The cats were pretty cool. Like just a ton of them.
Yeah.
Just eating people to get off the ship. Like, okay, that's pretty fun. Um, Made me more interested about like the Bengal or whatever it's called. Kamala Khan's like wristbands,
Yeah.
because Darben had one, and it's like apparently too strong to do both. So like she can't really do both, but I'm guessing she'll do both in an Avengers movie or some
Yeah,
shit.
probably.
But yeah, no, Marvels. I don't really have much else to say about it. I
Yeah.
like it's lower on my list, obviously, but like for how much hate it got when it came out, I like thoroughly enjoyed it. So, and that was my first time watching it too. So
Starting at like number 26 is like the ones I would like enjoy
consider
rewatching.
rewatching. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Um, all right. Number 24, I've got Wakanda Forever with a 7.4. Um, yeah, this movie was enjoyable. I I miss Chadwick,
Me
and
too.
that is like the saddest thing about
Yeah,
this
I
movie.
mean, I'll get to my like take on this obviously when I get to it, but for the circumstances of them already having a script done with Chadwick Boseman on this planet to him just being dead just out of
Yeah.
nowhere is like I give him mad props for like figuring something out after
Yeah.
that, because I feel like most movies would just like crumble and like we're just not gonna make that anymore. Like they
Yeah.
tried and they gave
Mm-hmm.
him a really good tribute too, so it's like I give him respect for that, honestly.
Yeah. Um, I honestly, I really liked Namor.
Yeah.
Like I really liked Namor. I'm also a huge fan of the characters that are like descendants of a god. So like Black Panther is a descendant of the Panther god. Namor is a descendant of Kul Khan or whatever that one god is. Like
I don't remember his name, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
and Moon Knight is a descendant of Khonshu. Like I'm just a big fan of that. You're like, oh, you're my avatar. You get
Mm,
to have all my powers and do my things, but they're not the actual god.
yeah.
Um, because it's like with Thor, he is the actual god. So you're like, oh, well, he's gonna be super overpowered.
Mm,
The rest of them are like, well,
you can get this power, but it's
mm-hmm,
not like really you. Like
yeah,
you're just a placeholder pretty much, which is like interesting, but
mm-hmm. Whereas like Shuri and Moon Knight are human, so it's like, oh, they kind of got these powers.
I mean the only
Um,
way Shuri got it was she had to literally like 3D print the
yeah,
flower
yeah,
to
she had
get
to
it. So
refabricate it. Um, we also got the introduction of Ironheart, which was pretty solid. It was funny to see Ironheart and Shuri go back and forth, and it was like they're both like super smart, but like from way different backgrounds. So it's like,
I like this movie made me hope Ironheart's like a good show. If
mm-hmm,
they eventually do it, they've been pushing it back for like months. It was supposed to
yeah,
come out last December, so it's
yeah.
like I don't know what's happening anymore.
So hopefully that's cool. Um, the only, well, I don't know. I don't know if I really have any like gripes about this movie. Like Namor was super powerful, and that's super cool because he has. I hope his wings grow back on his foot though.
I'm sure it will.
Because that fight was super good when the Namor v Shuri fight was like, oh, and they finally found a way to like dry him out. Like, thank God he had some sort of weakness they could exploit.
I was gonna say he was like pretty OP the entire movie,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah.
he can fly, he can swim. It's like, oh God. And then this was like the first time we saw Wakanda really get like shit on.
I I have a feeling Wakanda's gonna turn into the next Asgard. I think Wakanda's in danger right now, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Unless Namor like protects it with them, which I could see now. Like I said, I'll get into this when I talk about it,
Yeah,
but yeah.
like before this movie, Wakanda was so dominant with their like fighting styles and their technology and their metal, clearly.
Mhm.
So yeah, a lot of a lot of lore, a lot of new characters, a lot of dying. So yeah.
My 24 with a 5.6 out of 10. I have the Eternals. I enjoyed this movie for the most part. Like
Really?
a lot of people like don't really like the Eternals, and it's like I had fun watching the Eternals movie. Like I obviously need to watch it again. It's also been like a month and a half since we watched this, so like but like I enjoyed most of the Eternals,
Mm-hmm.
not Sprite. It also was funny because we watched Saltburn and then Druig is in
Yeah.
this. And it's
Yeah,
like
then
a
I was like,
completely different character. And it's like, oh man, I saw that guy's wiener.
yeah.
And now it's weird. Um, I really didn't know what to expect about Eternals 2 just because I avoided all spoilers of this movie for like 2 years because I knew eventually we'd rank it and I'll just watch it then. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I have no reason to like really go out my way to, um, yeah. Um, So I wrote down a little bit of how I felt about each character, just because I was like, oh, this is my first time, so I'll just do that. Cersei, I was not expecting her to be the main character, to be honest,
Yeah.
but she's fine. She kind of popped off at the end, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Icarus, I heard that he was the bad guy eventually.
Oh,
Um,
sure.
that was the only spoiler I heard about, but Superman, except he's like pretty cool. Like I thought
Yeah.
he was just gonna be like kind of a rip off, but
Yeah.
um pretty like pretty like I hate him like
Yeah.
villain. Like he's
Yeah.
pretty annoying. Thena, badass as fuck. I like Thena a lot.
Yeah.
It was like her fighting style is just badass. Like
Yeah. Just summon stuff and then it's like, oh my God.
yeah, it's like she's like a princess like with a sword and it's like that's
Yeah.
badass.
Yeah.
Kingo, funny. I enjoyed Kingo.
Kashoom.
With this whole like movie like
Yeah.
bringing his cameraman everywhere and it's like
Yeah.
that's funny. His finger guns were badass as fuck. Like he'd
Mm-hmm.
just be like pew pew. It's like okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Druig, obviously.
Just weird to see him in a different
Yeah, weird to
setting.
see him in a different setting. He popped off at the end hitting Sprite in the back of the head.
Yeah.
Fuck Sprite. Um he was like mind controlling a ton of people, which is like
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
It's like Wanda.
True. Sprite, fuck you. I get it. I would hate to be a 12-year-old too, my entire
Yeah.
life, but it's like that was so weird. Like
Yeah.
I'm in love with Icarus, and then Icarus is like clearly just using Sprite. Like
Mm-hmm.
clearly didn't have any feelings for Sprite.
Yeah.
Because why would he? Um, Bastos, pretty fucking cool,
Yes.
honestly. His
Yes.
technology, badass as fuck. Gilgamesh, probably the most likable character, honestly. Just 'cause he's just that guy, you know.
Yeah.
Killing him off sucked, but I get it. You kind of have to like. I've learned while like being like taking film classes, like you need motivation, and like that was probably their like setting point.
Yeah.
Cause like Icarus killed like the main girl, but
Mm-hmm.
everyone was like, uh,
Yeah.
like they
Uh,
cared, but they didn't at the same time.
yeah.
And then I kind of like by midway through the movie, I kind of forgot Crow was like a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So like when he started taking powers and talking, I was like, oh yeah, there's still Crow. And then Thena
Yeah.
just beats the fuck out of him at the end of the
Yeah.
movie, which is badass. But I like think the fight scenes in this movie are super underrated, honestly.
The Icarus beatdown scene was so
Yes,
good.
like Fasta's like pinning him down, and then the speedster like coming
Yeah.
through, smacking him around and
Yeah.
shit. Crow and Thena in the cave, which
Yeah.
that was fun. Um, in Druig's like area when they like invaded and like um the main girl like turned him into a tree or whatever.
Yeah.
That was good. I liked Eternals. Like I don't really see the issue with it. I get it's a lot at once. Probably wasn't like the smoothest transitions into like most of it, but like
Yeah.
I feel like when I go into these movies with everyone being like, this movie sucks, and then I watch it, I'm like, huh? Like, huh?
Eh.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to rewatch Eternals eventually. And like I'm not going to, but it kind of made me want to get all the legends of them too. It's just kind of like,
Yeah.
do I want to buy 10 legends of all these characters? Not really, but
Yeah.
so yeah, Eternals.
At number 23, I've got The Marvels with a
What the
7.5
hell
out of
made you
10.
say it like that? Oh,
I'm a different man.
23. Yeah, dude pissed a little bit. Now he's a different man. What'd you rank it?
7.5. Um, I actually really like this movie. Um, the switching scenes at the beginning where there's like complete chaos and they're all fighting different people. It's like, oh my
I
God.
forgot to mention that fight scene, but yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, no, it's
Them
super
fighting
cool.
in Kamala Khan's house was like, that's fun.
Yeah, yeah. No, I really want to watch Miss Marvel now. Like
Hmm.
this was our introduction to Miss Marvel, and now it's like, ugh, I should watch it. It seems really funny,
I just need to watch all the shows. Like,
honestly.
obviously, I've seen. Never mind. Anyways, keep talking.
Um, yeah, I think Kamala Khan was honestly the best part of this movie. She was really funny. I liked her powers, even though Miss Marvel was like expansion of her limbs, and they just made it like this like rainbow glass, which works.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. Um, and then she was like, I idolizing Captain Marvel the entire time, like, oh my
Yeah,
god.
that was funny.
Yeah,
Her like falling from the sky, and then Miss or Captain Marvel be like, "You gotta go get her now."
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
Photon's like, "I don't know how to use my powers." It's like, the kid's gonna die. Just
yeah.
do it. Like,
Just grab
just
her.
figure it out.
Um, yeah. I mean, the villain was all right. It's like, eh.
Forgettable, but like whatever. It's not the first time, so I'm not like super fed up about it like most people
Yeah,
are. So
yeah. The fight scenes in this movie are pretty pretty solid. And then yeah, there's the photon sacrifice, which is like, uh, but then
I like genuinely wasn't expecting her to like actually like leave, but
yeah,
like if this leads to X-Men, like
yeah, no, she's gonna come back. She's been in so many.
the Avengers will like they'll be like we need Photon or something, and then like they'll like do a portal to her and like Cyclops and her will walk out and we'll be like,
Yeah, yeah, they're gonna go to Doctor Strange, and he's gonna be like, huh? They're probably gonna go to like America Chavez,
oh yeah, definitely.
uh, cause I feel like I don't know if sling rings can open things in different
I don't think
dimensions,
so.
so
It's
it's
definitely gonna be
uh,
America
America
opening that portal.
Chavez, like,
So
let's figure out how to hone your powers, and she's gonna go like, boom, boom, and then like, yeah,
I mean, with her being with Wong, I just kind of hope they like do that in between movies. Like
mm-hmm,
you'd hope that I'm guessing we won't see her for at least another year or two. You would hope that like in that time period, she would figure out how to hone that, and they'd be like, Doctor Strange's like, oh, I know the exact person, and then they'll go to her, and
yeah,
so yeah,
um, but yeah, I mean the singing planet, I didn't mind it.
it was
I
definitely interesting.
I feel like that was a lot of people's like most hated moments about this movie, because typically when people sing in movies and you're not expecting it, it's like, I don't know. Like I've kind of realized that the general movie goers do not like music when they're not expecting it. That's not like, I don't know. I feel like people were easily annoyed about that, and then the villain, and then they're like, yeah, this whole movie is bad.
My one thing that's just like a common sense like thing that was like, huh? Was like this world is 96% water. Why not just give them some water? like oh, your planet's getting invaded for water. You're like 96%
Yeah,
water. Just give them some. Like I get they were
yeah,
bad guys at
that's
the
true.
time, but like pretty sure I said that during the movie. I was like,
Yeah.
why don't they just give them some? Like anyways, yeah,
But yeah, that's all I really have to say about the Marvels.
fair enough. All right. This might be my first hot take. At number 23 with a 5.7 out of 10. I have Spider-Man Far From Home. um, it's tough because it's like I love Spider-Man. I like Ned. Like this is
Yeah.
fun. Like and this is when MJ figured out that he was Spider-Man and whatnot. I really liked Mysterio, but like I kind of forgot that like he kind of just like is a poser. Like he's
Yeah.
not really Mysterio either. He's kind of just like a he's got this whole team of people like doing this illusion shit, and it would just be like so much cooler if it was like actually a Mysterio from a different
Yeah.
universe, like that actually has the powers of Mysterio. Like, and I think Jake Gyllenhaal did really good. Like, he
Mm-hmm.
did a really good job at like being hateable. It's like, cause he's like a pretty chill guy, and then Tom's like, yeah, I think you should get these glasses, and then like the whole
Yeah.
bar went, yippee, we got the glasses. It's like, oh, it's like
Yeah.
I don't know. And like obviously we find out that Nick Fury's a Skrull the entire movie, but it's like in the movie you're like, damn, Nick Fury's getting played like a fiddle over and over and over again. Like
Mm-hmm.
Happy's like I enjoyed Happy in this movie. That was probably another highlight just cuz like seeing Happy after Iron Man died is like that was nice like seeing him and that whole like spring fling or whatever of like with Aunt May is obviously comical. So
Mm-hmm.
that's fun. But like this movie doesn't really stand out. Like, and it's like with like Iron Man 2, I had to take off my nostalgia glasses, but with this one, it's like I love Spider Man, but like out of perspective, this is easily the worst of the three in my opinion.
Yeah.
And like, I probably would least likely rewatch this one. Of like,
Out of
I'd watch every movie above this more than I would with this one.
yeah.
So that's really all I gotta say about it.
Yeah, it makes sense. Let's see. At number 22, I've got Thor 1 with a 7.6 out of 10.
I was curious when this was coming out. What do you say at 7.6?
Yeah.
I'm just
Um,
writing these down because I'm gonna edit them into the video like the other one. So
yeah, yeah. Uh, we got like the most serious Thor in this movie. He's still very proper and very Asgardian.
he's still
Um,
also very like I want to be king of Asgard,
yeah.
and it's like super like this guy's still a kid, obviously, even though he's like thousands of
Yeah,
years
yeah.
old, and like he's still a kid technically. So
Classic Thor shenanigans. Um, Yeah, all the fighting in this movie is super enjoyable. I think my favorite part about this movie was the struggle to get his powers back. He lands on Earth and it's like, oh, I have to find my hammer. And it's like, yeah, you do.
yeah,
um, and then he finally makes it after beating up like a bunch of Shield
yeah,
agents, and he goes to pick it up, and it's like, "Mm,
and he's
oh
like
no."
no.
Yeah, it's like, what's the point? Um, yeah, this was our first exposure to like super powerful people in the MCU timeline. I mean, I guess Captain Marvel was before. Um,
Technically, timeline wise, this
timeline
movie came
wise,
out like 10 years before Captain Marvel,
yeah.
though, or whatever, like 8 years. But yeah.
Um,
Anyways,
but yeah, we got introduced to like Asgard and handful of the gods, and like Loki was doing all of his stuff, and Odin was the all powerful, and Heimdall was doing some cool stuff. He's like, hmm, I cannot open the bridge without the All Father seeing, except for this once. It's like Heimdall's so cool.
Heimdall just progressively got better through the movies
Yes,
too. Two things real quick that I just have to say about this is seeing Loki with shorter hair is like really throws me
it
off.
is. It is
Honestly,
really
it's like
weird.
it's just weird. And number two, hearing that Tom Hiddleston initially like tried to cast for Thor is just a
Audition for
super
Thor.
weird.
Yeah.
It's like because you like they showed the tapes and it's like that would be so weird. Like because Chris Hemsworth this big beefy jacked guy and like
Mhm.
Tom Hiddleston's obviously not out of shape, but it's like he's definitely skinnier. He's definitely more of a Loki
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah.
I can't imagine him with blonde hair. That'd just be weird. So, but yeah.
I'm sure he's glad he's Loki too, though.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's got to be a fun role to play.
It's easily one of the most liked characters in the MCU too. So,
Easily one of like the greatest character arcs from being mischievous villain, and now he's in the with the TCA. It's like
yeah.
um, but yeah, no, I enjoy Thor 1 a lot. So,
At number 22 with a 5.8 out of 10, I have Black Widow. I really like Black Widow. I mean, it's really fun. Yelena's awesome. Getting to
yeah.
know Yelena. I'm also a pretty large Florence Pugh fan. She's done a lot of good stuff in her
Mhm.
young career so far. So, um, obviously Red Guardian's super fun.
Yep.
The mom on the farm kind of like throws me off, but like she means well. Obviously, at the end of the day, she like looks like a bad guy at first, but it's like, yeah. The jail scene I really enjoy. Um, them trying to like get him out though kind of pissed me off. It's just like
Yeah, it's
Jesus
like, all
Christ,
right,
just
like,
lower it,
come on,
like
let's go.
just do it. And then obviously everyone there died because there's like a huge like ice storm or whatever.
Avalanche.
Um, uh, but like I wish this movie came out earlier. It's just weird that it came out after Endgame.
Yeah.
It's just so like, huh?
And then
Like,
the end credits scene was like, come on. Like we get that one girl talking to Yelena at the end next to the grave, but it's like if you're watching it for the first time in order and you see that and it's like, what?
yeah, that's fair. I mean, yeah. Dracoff, extremely hateable guy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here's my Taskmaster thing. On like my fourth rewatch of this movie, every time I rewatch this, I like hate Taskmaster less than I initially did.
Yeah.
So initially, it's like this fucking sucks.
Yeah,
Like
no.
they butchered Taskmaster, which I still don't think they like did him justice or did her justice, but it's like it's really not that big of a deal to be honest.
Yeah.
Like they redeemed Taskmaster. She will come back. I'm sure they have something planned with her.
They gotta.
So it's like it's not like they just like butchered Taskmaster and then killed her
Yeah.
and then that's it. Like there's something cooking for that character still. I think the whole like Dracoff like Black Widow breaking her nose was badass as fuck. It was like
Yes, that
it's
was
like you
good.
can't touch me, as you were saying, and it's like, yeah, watch this. Cracked her nose open, started beating the shit out of him. It was like,
Yeah.
let's go.
Yeah.
Um, the main gripe people have with this movie is the CGI at the end, which fair enough. It looks miserable when they're
Yeah.
floating. Yelena blew up something and then she floated backwards. I was like, Jesus Christ,
Yeah,
that's
no,
like
that's
Disney Channel like editing right there. It's not Marvel worthy. Flying like them floating down from the sky like for like 10 minutes straight was like, huh?
yeah, it's like jeez.
It probably wasn't that long, but I was like, God damn, like that's terrifying. Like I don't know how they're doing all this shit. Like they're like midway, like breaking the helicopter midair, like
Mm-hmm.
so Dracoff and like people die or like it blows up, and it's like Jesus Christ, like there's just so much happening at once,
Yeah.
honestly. But obviously, my favorite part about this movie is Black Widow lore, the family lore. So it's like
Yeah.
I enjoy it for that aspect. So yeah.
My 21 is Iron Man 2 with a 7.7 Um, I'd like to note what I wrote about this movie on my notes is solid. Maple was annoying as hell. Extremely good villain. Introduced Black Widow and War Machine. So, um,
I feel like those notes were from the first time we started that. Because wasn't that during the summer?
maybe.
That was 100% when the like all of Jeffrey's friends came over and they were like being annoying as fuck.
Oh yeah, it might have been.
Because I vividly remember that too. That now that you said that, because Maple was like kept standing up in front of you during the entire movie because she wanted to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
outside, and I just didn't want her being outside because they were being stupid. So I was like, Jesus Christ. I remember that. Yeah.
Um,
Anyways.
yeah. Maple annoying as hell. Um, no, getting the War Machine suit was huge, and this was Don Cheadle.
Yeah, the actor change was
Um,
much needed.
yeah, and getting Black Widow also huge. So pretty big with the character introductions, and then we got Justin Hammer and who was like um
I'll fix that later.
which is like sort of comical in a way, like, oh, here's the government getting this guy who they think super powerful, but he keeps like doing it wrong, and it's like, yeah, yeah,
He's
this is,
clearly doing illegal shit.
oh yeah,
So it's like
which is like another politics just
just
sweeping it under the
the
rug like
the
it never
MCU
happened.
government just being
Mm-hmm.
awful
Yeah.
24/7. So
um but yeah, no, Whiplash is a great villain. He's super sick. He's like, my bird.
yeah, I wish we got more of him to be honest.
Yeah.
But
Um, and then the racing suit up scene with the suitcase was like, so good.
Happy driving and Pepper's like,
Yeah.
just throw him the suit.
Yeah.
It's like Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
How did they even get on the racetrack in the first place is beyond me. And like a Monaco, like literally Cars 2 racetrack.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Um, but it brought on a lot of the Tony like problems,
yeah, the
which,
Tony lore really starts in this
yes,
movie. So,
super important stuff. Um, there's not much I really dislike about this movie, and then I think peak is the Iron Man War Machine fighting all the drones, like when they land
oh,
in
yeah.
that like,
Because they're back to back, like going,
yeah, and it was like, yeah, this is awesome.
yeah.
Like this is so good. Um, one of my favorite fight scenes. So I don't have a ton much to say. So yeah.
My 21st movie with a 5.9 out of 10, I have Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. I think this movie is pretty solid. Like, a lot of people aren't huge fans of this movie. Probably would rate it around where I rated, like middle of the pack. There was just a lot of like expectations going into this movie after No Way Home, and it was
Yeah.
like there was some really cool shit, but there's also like some like that's it. Like the Illuminati. A lot of people had an issue with the Illuminati getting swept, but I just think like Wanda's powers just really showed themselves there, and
Yeah.
like this was our first real like multiverse experience too. So everyone was like, they fucking killed off Mr. Fantastic, and it's like, no, they didn't.
Killed off
Like that,
one of them.
like one of the 30 million that they could possibly use, and John Krasinski isn't even our Mr. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's Pedro Pascal now. Obviously, we didn't know that at the time, but it's like that's clearly not our guy. So it's like
Yeah.
just chill out. Wanda being a villain was pretty cool. And it makes me like now that I know or there's rumors that Deadpool 3 is going to be Deadpool trying to save all the mutants. If he saves Wanda from that, that'd be really fucking cool, honestly. If that's how she comes back is through Deadpool 3, that'd be
Yeah.
badass as
Yeah.
fuck. So yeah. I don't really have too much to say. It's just like it's just there. Like I don't really It's not amazing to me, but it's also not a bad movie at all. It's
Yeah.
it's a pretty fun one. Obviously, everyone has their gripes about the ice cream song being obnoxious. It's like 45 seconds. Get
It,
over it.
it is not as long as I remembered it.
No, in that theater, it felt like 5 minutes long. I was like,
Yeah.
Jesus
It's like,
Christ. So if you had an
uh,
issue with Multiverse of Madness because of that, rewatch it. It's not really that long of a scene. Um, I enjoyed the aspect of Wanda pretty much just destroying herself because she saw her kids like frightened of her,
yeah.
which was like a pretty cool way to like beat her at the end of the day. Obviously, Strange dream walking through the dead Strange was like pretty cool,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
The attack on Carmitage was badass.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I enjoyed the movie. It's just like I think I just enjoyed everything above it more.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
No. Next one may be a little shocking. Um, I don't really remember how this movie was received by the community, but I feel like this is pretty low for others. So, or pretty high for others, pretty low for me. Um, at number 20, I've got Avengers Civil War.
What? Avengers Civil War?
Or Captain America Civil War.
Okay.
What?
I'm just shocked by that. Captain America Civil War is your 20th?
Yeah.
That is fucking wild. What is
What?
it? What's the rating?
A 7.8.
Okay.
Um,
I'm gonna try and hear you on this one, but
I thought I got the title wrong. And you were like, this movie doesn't actually exist.
well, Avengers Civil War doesn't exist, but
Yeah. Um, I said fighting was a 10 out of 10. I wasn't super thrilled by the story just because it was like, oh, yeah, expose yourself. Oh, don't expose yourself. And then it's like, boom. Um, Zemo got introduced, which is huge. And so did Black Panther and Spider-Man, also huge. And then I wrote, Bucky got normal question mark? Because all of a sudden he was fine. Um, but I was just a sucker for heroes versus heroes, cause I don't know, cause they both had like good fighting chances. It was mostly like I was just kind of waiting for the fighting the entire movie. I was like, all right, come on, like let's go. I want to see them fight each other, and like then it was the airport scene, and I was like, that was the most exciting thing about the movie to me. But the rest of it, I was just kind of like waiting for it to happen. And I was like, okay. But honestly, that's all I have to say.
okay. Not to reveal anything, but if that was a hot take video, I would absolutely break on that. Okay. My number 20 with a 6 out of 10. I have Iron Man 3. I honestly really enjoy Iron Man 3. I know Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3 kind of get grouped together just cuz they're pretty similar movies. Villains pretty similar
Yeah.
in ways, obviously not really, but like it's Iron Man going through some shit. There's villains. Fun. Robert Downey Jr. is awesome. But I honestly really enjoyed. Obviously, the Mandarin part was not the greatest. It's a
Yeah.
swerve, but like I think they redeemed it now. But at the time, I'm sure that was like a really like driving point for it to be really low on people's lists.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Aldrich Killian's backstory makes sense. I just like I get his whole thing was like, oh, like if you're an amputee, like I'll fix you, but like, what
Yeah.
the fuck?
Yeah, but only if it works.
like, yeah, it's like holy shit, and it's like they try to turn Pepper into that, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
Like I get that's the whole like driving point of like pissing Tony off. Um, I just really enjoyed Iron Man and the city of like Tennessee or whatever, like wherever
Oh,
you got like
yeah.
that whole thing with the kid is just so fun to me, and it's like oh my dad left. Oh, cry me a river. It's like
Yes.
shit like that.
Oh.
It's just like that is so funny to me,
Oh.
honestly. And Iron Man's suit coming to him. He was locked up on the bed, and the two guys were like, "Oh, is your suit really coming?" And then like,
Yeah.
"I promise it's coming." And then, pew pew. It was like, okay, that's pretty sick. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is overall like a pretty middle grounded like MCU film. I just enjoyed it. You get great Robert Downey Jr. moments. House Party, I think, is my biggest pet peeve about the movie, to be honest, because it's like Age of Ultron literally happened right after this, and he
Yeah.
was back in the suit. Like,
Yeah.
huh? Like, um, so like, what was the point of the ending if he was like, "Oh, I'm done making suits, Pepper," and then he just goes back to making suits?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. That part kind of confuses me, but I overall enjoyed Iron Man 3, so yeah.
Um, at number 19, I've got Guardians of the Galaxy 2 with a 7.9. It's got a lot of stuff where it was like, all right, let's get going. Like, especially when they meet Ego. Like, while watching
Yeah.
it, we all kind of knew it was like, all right, it's his dad. Like, let's go. Um, I think it peaked with the Ego and Star-Lord fight. Like that was crazy. And Ego trying to take over like a ton of planets. It
Mm.
was like, well, they all kind of they got the Ego's planet and then they started talking about well, Ego started talking about what he had been doing for the past couple centuries. He was like, "Oh yeah, I've been putting my seed on all of these planets and making all of these children with these people,"
Yeah.
and is like, but none of them have gone right except for you, Peter." And it was like, "Oh my God, like this is awful." Like the stakes were super high with this movie.
Hmm.
Um, I think this rewatch definitely made it better because I was not a huge fan of this movie before watching it again. Um, one of my small gripes is it didn't really introduce Ego until like way late in like you've got the beginning where it's like they're in the car and whatever,
Yeah.
but then it like took a while to get back to Ego. Um, I wrote Yandu is awesome in this movie. Uh, And then I wonder what happened to the blue plants that expanded on the planets. Did they just like disintegrate and disappear and then everything was fine? There's no like clarity after
No, not really.
that. It was like,
Unless we
oh,
missed something.
yeah,
But
it's like the ones that consumed like half that city. Like, did it just like disintegrate and then the city came back? Or like, is it just,
yeah.
is there a hole there? And then there's the bit where Star-Lord was in space without his helmet. And I know that's like the biggest thing about this movie is like why didn't he have his helmet on? It's literally like behind his ear and he taps it
Yeah.
and it comes out. So,
They must have obviously ditched the helmet after the first movie because that was another thing in
yeah.
Guardians 3 where he just didn't have his
Yeah.
helmet. And it's like, okay,
Um
sounds good, I guess.
but we got Mantis, which, a big player in the rest of the Marvel movies just cuz her powers are super helpful. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about Guardians 2. Another banger soundtrack.
Yeah, easily. My number 19 with a 6.7 out of 10. So big jump from 20. Um, I got Black Panther Wakanda Forever, this is my first time watching this. I thought it was a pretty solid movie for what like I said, I give them props for making something out of this after
Yeah.
Chadwick just unexpectedly passed away, because I'm pretty sure I read something that he was like just not telling anyone besides his close family, and then things got bad like really quickly out of nowhere. So, oh, let me clean this up real quick. But sorry, spilled coffee on the table. Cleaning that for a sec. But seeing Shuri kind of have vengeance was like kind of crazy, honestly, because
Yeah.
obviously you see Namor kind of like go into the city and like just pretty much destroy Wakanda like a little bit on the inside, and like drowned his drowned her mother, and it's like, you
Yeah.
shouldn't have done that, buddy." It's like, Jesus
Mhm.
Christ. And it's like, I appreciated that Namor was super OP, but like, thank God they found something to like slow him down, because it's like, this guy's like hopping like 40 stories in the air and just like wiping people. It's like,
Yeah.
how are they gonna like do anything about that?
Yeah.
Um, the Tuma guy was pretty cool.
Yeah, Tuma. Yeah.
Koye just like getting fired was like,
It's like, alrighty.
I like didn't like the mom in this movie. Like, I get she was vengeful for like Chadwick, and it's like, but it's like, Jesus Christ, dude, like chill out.
Yeah.
They literally went to Earth to get Riri or Ironheart, and it's like lost Shuri. Nothing happened to Shuri, but Okoye still got fired, and it's like, eh.
Yeah.
Like, if you knew Chad, or I keep calling him Chadwick. If you knew Black Panther, Okoye's like his main like person. You
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't do that to your son if he was still
Yeah.
alive. So it's like, whatever. Shuri fighting Namor on like the side of the beach after the plane crash was like a pretty good fight scene. I
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed it overall. My biggest gripe with this was like, yeah, I liked seeing Namor's world, but it like really dragged. Like, I just like, after a while I was like, okay, like I get
Yeah.
it. Like, they're underwater. I liked seeing his origin of like his people were like dying, and like this kid was like a miracle baby pretty much,
Yeah.
and like he took them to the new water place, and it's like, he's super worried that people are going to find out. Nobody's going to make it to you guys down there.
No.
Like, the only way I'd even imagine that is like if the Avengers somehow like figured out some tech to get down there and fight you guys. The government's certainly not gonna find a way down there,
Yeah.
because they took Shuri down there, and it was like the Finding Nemo scene where they were like riding the wave. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way they're just gonna randomly find that down there. So it's like, okay, but like you said, I really enjoyed Namor. Wakanda kind of got wiped though. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of their
No.
people died. A lot of like their fighters died, and it was like,
Mm-hmm.
damn, like they're not looking too hot. But then they won, which is cool. Nakia with her water suit was like pretty cool. She's like,
Yeah.
she oddly just keeps leaving Wakanda for whatever reason. And it's like, okay,
Yeah. It's like,
like didn't even come for the funeral, which is like,
mm-hmm. What?
huh? Like, I don't know. That's just weird to me. But anyways, I'll stop yapping about it. But it was a pretty solid movie. So
All right. And number 18. Probably gonna hate me for this one too. Uh, but I'm getting into my eights. It's like all of these
yeah,
movies are so
you
good.
enjoy these. I'm still in my sixes, so it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, with an 8.1, I've got Avengers: Age of Ultron. My biggest gripe is the introduction of the twins, but killing Pietro. It's like, uh, it's
I th-
like
I think I made a pretty good point why they killed him
no,
though.
because speedsters are
They're
OP.
so OP.
Um, yeah, but I think my main happy thing about this movie, like my main takeaway is I really like Ultron.
Mm.
Ultron is a crazy good villain.
Did you
I
say 8 out of 10 for this?
8.1.
8.1, okay.
Um Ultron is so cool and he's so edgy the entire time. He's like, "What's the point of existence if we aren't evolving?" It's like, okay. It's like, all right, buddy. Um but no, it's yeah, here, I wrote Ultron is a great villain. Introduced the twins, Pietro was underwhelming. Vision is awesome. Some needed character arcs. More comedic moments with Thor and Hawkeye. So this is really where we got like funny Thor and funny Hawkeye, which I think was I don't know if Thor was necessarily needed yet cuz he was still like very outstandish and Asgardian. Um but I think yeah, making Hawkeye funnier was definitely better because people didn't really like Hawkeye then. He was just like the guy that shot stuff from far away.
I mean, he was kind of like the scapegoat in Avengers because he was bad for like most of the movie, and then you're
Yeah.
like kind of like 180, like you're supposed to really like him suddenly. It's like
Mm.
the general public. I feel like that's just like kind of tough because there
Yeah.
really wasn't much character in introduction to him either. So always the Hawk. He's always in his perch, and it's like
Yeah.
okay, and then he got
Oh,
stabbed, and he's
the
like
Hawk.
okay.
Yeah. Um, but the whole like floating city bit, I didn't really. I was like, eh, like it took out this giant chunk of land and pulled it into the air, and like that's a huge problem. But it's like, Ultron, what are you doing?
Well, he's just trying to destroy Earth.
Yeah.
I mean, if it dropped like it was supposed to, I'm pretty sure Earth would be
Yes.
donezo.
Yeah.
So
Um, but Ultron, like he could have. I don't know. It was. It's like a god. Which it did have a lot of like awful consequences even
oh, definitely.
even after they saved it. But Vision was super cool in this movie. It was like yes, and he would just go through things and just smack stuff.
Yeah,
Um, but
it
yeah,
was like
no,
baby Vision. He didn't really know
yeah,
what was happening still.
yeah. Uh, rest in peace, Jarvis. Though, even though he's Vision now, well,
Yeah, he
not
sounds like
anymore.
like
But
Jarvis pretty much is
yeah,
Vision's voice.
I mean,
So
same
he's
same
still there.
actor, but
I mean, he's White Vision now, so it's kind of like
yeah, yeah,
who knows what's happening with Vision because I don't. And WandaVision came out like 4 years ago, so who knows what's happening anymore.
but yeah, Age of Ultron.
My 18th rank movie, I have at a 6.9 out of 10, I have Guardians 2. I think it's easily the worst Guardians movie of the three.
Yeah,
I just like the like capturing Nebula while she's still bad really started like the Rocket Nebula thing, which was cool.
mm-hmm,
Rocket just like playing these guys like fiddles in the forest was funny.
yeah,
Um, I just like really didn't care about Ego. Um, and obviously, like you said, huge ramifications. If Ego wins, the world's all die.
yeah,
So it's like it's a pretty big thing. Yandu easily top 10 anime deaths. Like big
yeah,
sad. But it's weird because I'm talking about it like I don't like this movie. It's a good movie. I enjoy all Guardians movies, but it's like it's easily the weakest of the three, which makes me not like it as much.
yeah,
And I don't know. Like I feel like Star Lord was like everyone kind of knew something funky was happening, and Star Lord had his like daddy issue moment where he's like, "My dad, like, why are you so mad at my
yeah,
dad?" And then yeah, so and then the dad called his mom like a bitch or something, and he was like, "Huh?"
yeah. He's like, huh,
But
huh.
it's yeah. So I don't know. I don't really have much to say about Guardians.
Sure,
Good movie. Just like it's kind of a mid tier MCU movie for me. So
yeah. All right. And then number 17, with an 8.2 out of 10, I've got Shang-Chi. This movie was pretty good all around except for Aquafina.
Fuck Aquafina.
It was She was terribly annoying
Yeah, she's diabolical as fuck.
throughout the entire movie. Um, but no movie's perfect, I guess. But the fighting in this movie was so good. The choreography was great, especially the oh no, what's his name? Wenwu. Wenwu and Shang-Chi fight with the rings is like it was pretty poetic.
Yeah.
Uh and it was the rings just bouncing around and then them going back to Sean uh was like haha. But I think Wenwu's purpose, like his the reason he was trying to open the gate was like, yeah, like that makes sense. He's trying to get his wife back. He can hear her through the wall, and
Yeah, dude was crashing out pretty hard.
yeah, he was so used to having everything he wants for I don't know this like centuries he was alive
Yeah.
that he would just go and do it and no one would stop him. So like he was gonna go and do it and no one would stop him. Um, Shang-Chi's backstory was pretty solid. Like his dad trained him to be this assassin, and then he was like, "I don't want to kill anyone. Goodbye." And it's like, yeah, that's fair. And then you get the whole like sister fight club, which was a little weird, but we got Abomination and Wong, so like,
That was pretty awesome.
yeah, it's like cool. Um, and then yeah, so we got Aquafina being even more annoying, and then I think the final fight with like the cursed like flying soul sucking being and the dragon was like awesome. I think the part where it peaked was when Shang-Chi was like falling off, like when he came off the dragon and then just started doing everything in the air. It was like,
Yeah.
this is so cool.
Yeah.
Like you get chills every time you see that. So yeah, that's that's all I've got to say about Shang-Chi.
All right. At 17, with a 7 out of 10, I have Ant-Man, the first one. Super fun movie, honestly. Scott Lang is just such a likable character, honestly.
Yeah,
And Luis and his buddies are super funny, honestly. Like,
yeah.
comical relief. Storytelling goes crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it's just a super fun street level
Mm-hmm.
event. Like, Darren Cross, pretty unlikable guy. He wants to
Yeah.
be likable and then he isn't.
Yeah.
Um, Hank Pym, pretty chill. Learning, like Scott learning how to do the ant thing
Yeah.
and like stuff is fun. Just overall, I don't really have much to say about this movie. It's just overall like a pretty fun movie.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Let's see. Are we stopping at 16?
yes, this is your last one this episode.
At number 16 with an 8.3 out of 10, I've got Spider-Man Far From Home. I definitely agree with you that it's the weakest of the Spider-Man movies. And I also agree that I wish Mysterio actually had his powers because he'd be so much cooler. Uh, then we got like the Night Spider, the Night Monkey, like European Spider-Man moment, which is like, haha.
Another gripe I kind of had with this movie was the fact that like it is so obvious that Peter is Spider-Man at this point. You gotta be stupid
Yeah,
to like not realize it at
yeah,
this point. Like it's like Spider-Man is following our class around. It's
yeah.
gotta be one of us. Like yeah.
Um,
Anyways,
I really liked the Ned, MJ, and Peter chemistry throughout this entire movie. It's like it's kind of what I wanted from Homecoming, but we didn't get. And I think Jake Gyllenhaal did a great job. I think him as Mysterio, especially during the ending bit with the drones, was super like ratty and like kind of perfect for how that worked out. The illusions got really annoying at some bits where it was like, come on.
Yeah, him getting like attacked and then you kind of realize that he's just in a VR headset and kind of like just kind of pissed me off.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
like okay.
he could have whatever. I already talked
Yeah.
about it.
Um, but it gave the writers like so much excuses to just kind of do whatever they wanted and like, oh, but this isn't real and this isn't real. But yeah, it did get a little tiresome. Um, I think we need more movies like in Europe though. I kind of liked seeing everything over there. It's like
Yeah, I enjoyed this being out of New York
mhm.
or a normal
Especially
city.
just out of New York
Yeah.
in general or LA or any
Yeah.
big United States movie. So, I really like the set in this movie and then like there was still that bit of like Liz controversy stuff. It's like, "Oh, come to the pool." And it's like, "Uh-uh. Got to be night
Uh
monkey."
uh.
Yeah. Um and then yeah, the elements bit, it was cool at the beginning and then it kind of started getting old
Yeah, I
after they're like,
agree.
"Oh, there's one here and here and here. And oh no, there's gonna be the biggest one." And we know exactly where it is.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like,
like, are you guys just stupid at this point? It's like, yeah. So,
yeah. But the biggest part was them like grieving after Tony died. It was like, eh. So
yeah. All right, my final one for this episode at number 16 with a 7.2 out of 10. I have Spider-Man Homecoming. I really enjoyed this movie for the most part. I think Vulture is honestly like a really good villain. 'Cause there's no like traumatic ass background. It's just like
yeah,
he's a street level like working class man, and Tony Stark came in and pretty much like took all that shit, took work away from him, and he's like, you know what, fuck this guy.
yeah,
And I still think Liz's dad being Vulture is like one of the best like swerves in
yeah,
any MCU movie. It's like when Peter walks up to the front door and he opens it, it's like, oh boy.
yeah,
Um, my only kind of issue about it is like the ending fight was like whatever. Like he was crawling on the plane for like most of it, like
hmm
dodging shit Vulture was like throwing at him. And then the plane eventually crashes and it's like, I enjoy like I like you Vulture, but you're just a bad guy and it's like, yeah, pretty much.
It was like, uh huh,
And like Iron Man like being like you don't deserve this suit. It's like he's trying at least.
yeah.
Like, you don't have to be so mean to him.
Don't be so mean to my bar.
Yeah, but and then him turning on the Avengers at the end was like probably like one of the more solid points. It's like he tried to be Avenger the entire movie, realized how like damn, that probably
Yeah,
sucks. Like
yeah,
I need to go to school still. So it's like yeah. So overall pretty good. But that was our part 1 of our MCU ranking. This is probably going to be like close to 2 hours. Maybe an hour 45. But yeah, it's just the first half of our rankings. So we got another
yep.
part 2 coming your way, 15 through our number 1 coming up. So thank you guys for watching part 1, and we'll see you guys for part 2.
See ya.